comfort of my home. But if you're a lady here, you already know that if you work from home, your mommy is still going to come and ask you to come and cook you. She's not going to hear that you're doing meeting. If she allows you to do meeting on Monday and Tuesday, on Wednesday you come and cook stew. If you're a guy here, you know that if you're in a meeting and you're working from home, right, and there's no light, there's no how you're going to use that laptop. You guys can relate to what I'm saying, right? So the remote work that you're asking for can actually cause serious communication barriers, right? Now look at it as maybe, for example, you want to be a manager. Your developer is in Akwa Ibom. Before COVID, the place I used to work as a product person, we had an, an office for developers, right? If I want my project to be completed, the engineer like this, the guy is calling me, I'm like, you finish. So now, remote work, I be everybody looking for remote work. Guy, how far now? Have you finished? Have you completed the ticket? I'm working on it. I'm working on it. I'm taking my child to crèche. I need to go and buy drug. I want to go and do. I want to go and pay for NEPA. I want to go and buy for. Be hearing very very funny things that did not exist. Excuses that did not exist, right? When there was no when there was no remote work. So location barriers exist. Or imagine you get a foreign job in a French company and you don't even know French. Your Duolingo streak is not even streaking. So now you want to do remote work. Another communication challenge is the line of communication, right? Most more established organizations have communication channels and escalation paths. So this one kind of means like when issue A happens, who attends to issue A? When issue B happens, who attends to issue B? So, for example, let me give you a good example. If a customer in a company has an issue, a level one issue, you can say customer success can attend to that issue. If it's a level two issue, let the product manager attend to the issue or the engineer. If it's a level three issue, let the CTO attend to it. If it's a level four issue, let the MD attend to it. Now imagine that doesn't exist in a company and customer service starts calling MD or a level four issue, something that is very, very critical. Someone that just that is in NYC is one handling the issue. That can cause a lot of problems. So can you guys see? Another thing again that causes communication challenges in the workplace is an assumption of understanding. An assumption. Many people in companies in group settings do not like to ask questions because maybe for example they think, oh, they'll think I'm dull. They'll think I don't know what they'll think I don't know what I'm saying. One thing that I very much believe, I don't know if you guys remember when I showed the slides, the first slide about the communication process. If there is no feedback, that communication process is not complete. Please do not be afraid to ask questions no matter where you are, right? Something that you do not know today, you will, well, by the time you know it, you will know it forever. It's okay to be a beginner. It's perfectly okay. Some people enter a company, maybe for example, that's why I don't like when people lie on their CVs and say they've done 100 million things. People say you should do it so you can get the job. When you get the job, you'll now be depressed, right? An assumption of understanding, even up to today, right? When I'm working on a very technical project, I'll tell my developers or my engineers, explain this thing to me like I'm five. Explain this concept to me like I'm seven. Break it down. Let's not assume. Don't be doing okay. No, explain it to me like I'm five, right? And everybody will be fine. Lack of feedback, I think that's self-explanatory. Information overload. Information overload. My slides, I could have put a lot of fancy things in the slide. I could have put a lot of fancy concepts. But information overload, it's not necessary, right? Let's go to the basics. One thing that people do not understand is when you understand the basics of things. You guys are science students, so I'm sure there are terms or maybe not all, majority of you might be, will likely be science students. I know there is a concept that says when you understand the basic of things, when you understand the fundamental of how something works, it's easy for you to layer theories on it, right? So when you keep things simple and everybody can understand the basics of it, it is much easier for you to build on that foundation. Another thing that causes challenge in the workplace is ego and attitude. So you put sign in front of my name. The way she talked to me, the way she talked to me, all those things are not necessary. Or attitude, right? It causes a lot of challenges in the workplace. Another major thing is cultural differences. If you go to a place, please, I know many of us are young here. You go to a place and they say, call everybody by their first name. There's no Mr. here. We're a cool company. Call everybody by their first name. You're not gonna call 150 something year old man, Arinze. Hey. There are cultural differences, and please, we're in Africa. You must clarify from each person what they prefer to be called. Do not assume. I still have one of my mentees I talked to this morning that went for an interview yesterday. And the person that she's supposed to be working for is supposed to be a cool person. She's a public figure, but like her social page is very, very fancy. She sent me a voice note this morning that the lady says because of her age, she has to be kneeling down to greet her every morning. This is something that just happened yesterday. This lady is less than maybe maximum 30 something years old. Yes, she told her that she has to be kneeling down to greet her because she's 20. So it exists, right? It exists. Cultural differences exist. And you must be sure, especially if you're working with a boss, you must be sure how that person wants to be addressed or treated. If you cannot deal with it, you move, right? Before you go and cause complications for yourself in the workplace and you're wondering why they don't like you. Mm? Please, it's not everything that is internet Gen Z, unfortunately. Um, so let's go to some email etiquette and written communication. Checking my time. I don't know if any of you have ever heard of the KISS principle. KISS stands for. Does anybody know? Let's check the comments. Does anybody know about KISS? Yep, yep. So what does it mean? You can use the chat. You can open your mic. Nobody. Okay, let's continue. The KISS stands for keep it simple. The last S is a slur, but I'll say it anyway. It's keep it simple, stupid. Keep it simple. It's like if something can be simple, don't overcomplicate it. But again, your audience, I used to work in an office where your email had to have reads. You have to put things that will make people know that you can be respected. And then because I was working in a B2B company, we're talking to bank managers, bank MDs, like really, really, really top guys. We didn't want them to look down on us. I was 2021. My email then, grammatical grammar, and it was for a reason, right? But if you're not working in a setting where you need to complicate things, you must remember to keep things simple. Human beings do not like to read. Human beings have a skimming culture. If you do some research, you see how people read. Especially if you're doing like web design or you're a content writer, people read left, right, left, right, left. Most of the things in the middle, they skip it. Like this written communication, and once I see written and I see etiquette, I already get the idea. So if you want people to really, really decode your messages, keep it simple, please. And when you're writing an email, use a professional tone. Use a professional tone unless otherwise stated. When you use a professional tone and the person now responds to you in a less professional tone, you can now use your emotional intelligence to adapt your message. But keep professional at first. First impression matters. First impression matters. Keep your messages concise, straight to the point. Proofread. The thing about proofreading is, this happens to me too. When you've written something and you've read it like 2 or 3 times, your eyes omit the mistakes because you don't cast for your eyes. So what I do sometimes is I wait 5 minutes, I go back and read it again. And I'll be like, why did I put singular, not plural? Why did I, hey, sit about, right? So please proofread. Do not use emojis except necessary. Do not use emojis except necessary, or except your brand style or your company style permits the use of emojis. Your subject line, I was going to attach a sample email here that is very popular, that was very non-compliant. Your subject line must carry the subject of conversation, the main subject of conversation, right? Structure your emails logically. The main point for your email must be up. Some people will say, "Good morning. Trust this meets you well. Hope you had a good weekend." I just wanted to, Oga, what do you want? Go straight to the point. And the same thing applies when you're reaching to somebody on their DMs, or you're sending a LinkedIn message, right? "Good morning, ma. I admire you. How are you today? I saw you last week. I wanted to greet you, but you passed. Yo, guy, what? How can I help you?" Right? Avoid using jargon or slang. We've said that before. Okay, let's proceed. Listening. I know some of us mentioned listening, and even I am working on my listening skills. Listening is more difficult for people that are talkative. And one thing about being talkative is not only vocal talk. Some people think they are quiet, but their minds are very busy. Some people don't stop talking in their head. They are permanently thinking of something. So I feel like being talkative is not just like vocal, right? If there's so much noise going on around you when you're talking to someone, you have to calm down, right? If you're not the initiator of a conversation, you are secondary to that conversation. Rule of thumb. For example, imagine you call me to tell me you're having an issue. Maybe you have a bug, and you mentioned, if I have this bug, oh, I don't know how to debug it. And next, I say, that's that last week. Me too, I had a bug. Oh, hey, I spent 10 hours. I was just there before I slept there. Hey, have you ever worked in the midnight before? Have you? Hey. So I've taken over that conversation when I am not primary to that conversation, right? Listening, you have to listen attentively. We said it before, pay attention. And one thing that people do not recognize is every human being seeks to be understood. All right. My background is in social sciences, so I can't help but dip into this a bit. Every human being seeks to be understood. If you want to be someone that is likable, many people pretend that they don't like to be liked, but every human being likes to be liked. It's just the truth. You can pretend, I don't care what people say about me. They hating on me. They're haters. No, every human being seeks to be understood. If you want to be someone that is liked, if you want to be someone that is appreciated, you have to be a listener. This is something that I myself am working on, and it has helped me greatly. Some tips, these are not in my notes, but just some tips. When someone is speaking to you, keep quiet and listen. Just keep quiet and don't say anything. In case you don't even know listen, don't say anything. Look at their mouth, look them in the eyes. Look them in the eyes. I know Africans will say don't look at your bosses in the eyes. When they are speaking to you though, look them directly in the eyes and nod. Even if you don't know what they are saying, look them in the eyes and nod. When they've completed a reasonable thought, you can validate them by saying, "Oh, okay." Make short phrases to validate what they're saying. Hold in your head any question you might have until they've completed a reasonable thought. Then you can ask questions. Then you can now say, "Okay, do you mind if I share my inputs?" or I want to also share something that I think will be helpful for you, you can now make a contribution after the person has finished a logical thought and you have validated them and they understand that they've been understood, right? If you are a good listener, you will have a lot of people that can trust you. That's just the truth. Pay attention to the little things. Pay attention to the little things. When someone is talking to you, you can see some of the times when their faces have certain emotions. You won't be able to notice those things until you pay attention. And I love this particular skill because it goes beyond your work. It enters, goes into your friendships, your family time, your relation with your siblings, right? Yeah, I'm talking to you and I mention something and you see water coming to my eyes. Eh? You should dip that. The person will almost trust you. The person will hey, you can this is something that we will learn in business school on how to win investors and something like that. And the investor might talk, give you feedback, and maybe now you want to talk about maybe the money, but you maybe you heard that they said something like, oh, when I was 5 years old, I lost my dad, or oh, I also went to boarding school. Oh, I'm like, oh, that's nice. I also went to, now you found because you were listening, you found something that is emotional that you can talk about, and you can. I'm not teaching you to be manipulative, please, but active listening helps you notice things that you can deep. Um, Another thing with listening is you have to be humble. That's my third point here. Be open to feedback. Be open to feedback. One thing that causes problems for people in workplaces is they are not. Can the moderator let me know how much time I have left so that I can moderate my points properly? Thank you.
Uh, obviously, you have just about, let's say, 5 minutes left.
5 minutes. Thank you. Um, when you get feedback or when you're giving feedback, be open to it. Nobody is, yes, somebody might be trying to pick on you, but being open to feedback, taking the feedback and working on on the feedback makes people appreciate you, right? Don't be in a hurry to leave a meeting. It can even be rude. Like, calm down. Don't be in a hurry to leave a meeting, especially when you feel like people have not completely understood what you're saying. But also, if you're going to be coordinating a meeting, that's just like I did just now, you have to know where people are at. Am I losing the audience? Are people leaving the call? Am I overstretching a particular point? Um, but you have to clarify all of that. When it comes to written communication, reading is equivalent to listening. Read when people send you stuff. If people send you documents, I know we have engineers on this call. Please read documentation. Read documentation. I'll say it again. Read documentation. Don't go and build something. They will not come and ask you to change it. You'll not be angry that they're asking you to change it when you did not read the specifications properly. Please read documentation. Um. Okay, I think we're almost done. I would brush through over this because of time. Group communication skills, respect the ideas of others, collaborate actively with team members. You have to build consensus. Group discussions are a good way to practice your leadership skills. Now, one misconception people have about leadership is people think when you're a leader, you have to be authoritative. I already explained to you the three types of leadership. Diplomacy is the most appropriate one, right? You must learn how to walk upwards, sideways, and downwards. Your body language, listening skills, teamwork, behavior. These are things you pick up in group discussion skills, right? Another thing that you guys can read on later on is synthesis. Write that down, read that later. How do you synthesize? How do you take multiple ideas from different people and combine it to make a valid point? So the church that everybody feels heard, right? Everybody feels heard and understood. You guys should read on synthesis, read on facilitation. Synthesis, facilitation. Um, virtual meetings. Mute your mic when you're not speaking. Dress appropriately. Set your professional background. Do not interrupt people when they're speaking. If you interrupt someone, acknowledge the interruption and confirm if you can proceed or retract, right? Address people respectfully. Engage actively as much as possible. If you're in a meeting, Do not be a spectator, be a participator, right? Anywhere you go, I teach this also as well. Do not be a spectator as much as possible, be a participator. You get why? I'll just leave it there. Another thing, test your technology beforehand, right? Minimize distractions as much as you can. If you know you can't work from home, currently I'm in a workstation. I come here almost every day because I know that if I'm at home, I'll be distracted, right? Respect meeting agendas, timelines. Okay, I think I have about 2 minutes more. I'd have liked to answer some things on presentation, but I'll just go through them clearly and quickly. When you're presenting, make sure people can hear you, see you. Use eye contact to involve, but don't make people feel strange when you're presenting. As much as possible, use audio visuals. Make sure you're fluent verbally. Make sure your vocabulary is appropriate. I think we've discussed that already. If you're a fast talker, learn to slow your pace. If you're a slow talker, people will sleep when you're presenting. Learn to pick it up. Vary your intonation. I'd like to dip on this a little, but I don't have the time. So let me give you guys just a quick tip. I don't know if you guys, okay, everybody did music in school. I like to believe. You know, tonic solfa, right? Do re mi fa sol la ti do. Now let's do the three. If you're Yoruba here, you know that Yoruba has do re mi, right? When you're speaking, you have to use that same musical sense because human beings are musical. Do re mi. If all your words are do, you'll be sounding low, low, low. And I'll show you the difference. Imagine I'm talking to you and I'm saying, "Good morning. My name is Joke. So today I want to be presenting." All my words are going, uh, uh. You bore people out. But if you vary it, can you see what I just did? You're going up, right? You're getting validation before you now go down. That way, you are sounding in a way that you can carry your audience along. I'll leave that for now, but I think you guys got it. Organize your material. Do not be ambiguous. Ambiguous may be a big word, but ambiguous means like people cannot tell whether you're saying A or B. Don't be no time, so I'll leave that. Um, make your presentation interesting. I think this is the last slide. Let me just confirm. Yeah. The internet never forgets, please. This is on online communication and etiquette. The internet never forgets. What is your personal brand? If your personal brand is playful, right, it's okay to use certain words, certain things. If your personal brand is professional, there's certain things you can do on the internet. There's certain blogs you can't be responding to anyhow. Instagram will show everybody that's following you what you commented on Insta blog, right? When you use all caps, right? When you use exclamation marks, you are literally in written text, you are shouting, right? So as much as possible, if you're not trying to shout, you don't need to use all caps or exclamation marks. And please be respectful. What you can't say to someone in real life, don't say to them online. You're on social media with someone doesn't mean that they're your mates, right? So as much as possible, be respectful. I was going to share a story about my Access Bank interview a few years back. The head of HR in Access Bank opened my Instagram. She opened my Twitter. So imagine I've been doing. Oh well, let's leave that. Okay, I think that is it. I'll leave the floor open for contributions and questions.
All right, thank you very much, Joke. That was a very wonderful session. So, do we have any
Okay.
questions? If you have questions, kindly drop them on the Slido link. Quickly, we have just about 5 minutes to take questions. Can anyone make it beautiful? So do we have questions? There are no questions yet. I think everyone simulated what you said.
Okay.
All right, sorry. So I think there's a question in the comments. Someone said, "What if you are shy to look into the eyes?"
Sorry. What did you say?
All right. So what if you are shy? What if you are shy to look into the eyes? Like, what if you are shy of
To look
maintaining
into
eye
people's
contact?
eyes.
Yeah.
Everything takes practice. Everything takes practice. It's okay to be shy, but it's not okay to remain shy. And even if you're shy, you do it anyway. If you look down, if you look down when you're talking to someone, they can take it as a an edge to take advantage of you. Unfortunately, they can use it as an edge to take advantage of you. So you want to sound confident, and you can't do that appropriately if you're not looking into people's eyes. But don't do it in a way that is scary. Don't do it in a way that is weird. Um, if you can't look into people's eyes directly, you can start slowly. Look at their face as much as possible, and over time you get used to it. Another way to do it is when you introduce yourself firmly, you're more confident to look at people's eyes. And please, you guys, learn how to give a very good handshake. Right? It's an unspoken cue that goes a long way. When you meet someone for the first time, introduce yourself. Don't sound pessimistic. Good morning, my name is Joke. um, Firm handshake, and then it's easier for you to feel like you're colleagues with them, and then look them in the face. Um, any other question?
All right, thank you very much, Joke. I don't think there is any. Okay, no, there. Okay, we have one here. What can I do if I'm trying to rebrand my online persona? Do I need to create a new social account?
So I think the first thing is you have to set your goals. People think goal setting is a cliche thing, but sometimes, remember what we said about principles? The basic principles always work. Before you put reason on top, do the basic homework. What do I want to be recognized for, and why? When you have your why, it's easy for you to tailor your brand. Some people leave their past, right? So they can make reference to it. They'll say, a few years back, this was me, this is where I am now. It's easy for them, it's good for their storytelling. Some people would archive all their posts and start afresh. Some people will open a new account and then dedicate the second account to something different. Some people will build a particular persona on one social media and another persona on another social media. But you won't be able to pick the one that is right for you if you've not clarified your goals and your why and your audience. Is that clear? Every other thing layers upon those factors.
All right, very clear, very, very clear. So one more question. I have an issue memorizing meaning of new words I come across. It hinders my vocabularies. How do I solve this issue?
The meaning of new words. So the perfecting is in the doing. The perfecting is in the doing. It's the same thing with many things. Many people feel like you're not going to suddenly be good at something. Nobody is suddenly good at something. It takes practice. Um, so another way you can do it is to find synonyms of that word that come easy for you. So I know that this big word means this, but what are other ways in everyday English that people use for these words? If I understand that that word, that big word means this, and I can find sentences that I can use them in. Another thing about grammar, by the way, is when you soak yourself in it constantly, you start to use them even when you do not mean to use them, right? It's like how we learn to speak as children. The more you practice, the more you search for them, the more it becomes second nature for you. Very good.
All right, thank you very much, Joker. So that's all the questions that we can take. Wonderful session once again. Thank you very much for that particular session. So yeah, so everyone, I hope you enjoyed the session. Okay, definitely. So I'm saying thumbs up. I'm saying claps. All right. So thank you very much once again, Joker.
Thanks,
Uh,
everyone. Thanks for being a good audience.
okay.
Okay.
So quickly, we're going to be moving on into the second session now, and we have our speaker right here on the call, the person of John Oyegbite, and he's going to be taking us on adaptability and resilience. So before we get into the session, I would like to read John's profile. Okay, so quickly. John Oyebite. John is a software engineer interested in products, web, and mobile application development. He is currently a software engineer at Bloomberg LP, London office since 2022. Before joining Bloomberg, John has acquired over 3 years of experience in software development, including working at Babangona as a mobile developer and a research software engineer at the University of Lagos. John holds a background in civil engineering, including a BSc First Class Honors in Civil Engineering from the University of Lagos, Nigeria, and work experiences in Ov Arop, Nigeria. He is also an astute teacher with an immense passion for knowledge transition and mentorship. Hello, John. It's nice to have you here.
Yeah, it's nice to be here. Wonderful sessions, by the way. It's very, very important that people are aware of so many things in the industry, which most times we didn't have opportunity to get. I think we started ECX, that was 2019, and you guys have done a really, really good job so far. So well done, guys. Yeah, so my name is John, and Malik have rightly introduced myself to you guys. But for a quick one, my name is John. I'm currently a software engineer at Bloomberg, and I deal with web technologies basically, and also try to lead projects as well. I have passion for teaching. I've been teaching for like, let me see, more than 8 years now. In anything, mathematics basically, but moving to software engineering, then I have to move my passion into software engineering as well. Yeah, so that's just about me. You guys will learn a bit more about myself during this session. So you guys just sit tight. Thank you guys for joining as well. I appreciate you guys' time. Time is very, very, very important. And so for you guys to, have the time to come here today to listen to us is very impressive. Yeah.
All right.
Thank you,
Thank
Malik.
you very much. Thank you very much, John. So you said you love teaching as well. I mean, you did not add the fact that you were once a tutor right here at ECX. That was in 2019, even winning the best tutor of that particular ECX session. All right. So, John, it's good to have you right here again. One question before we move into the session formally. Why did they make you John the Genius during your stay at Unilag?
Okay, that's an interesting one. I think it was a one of my friends that came up with that name, and I think the reason was because this might be a shock to everyone. I rarely attend lectures. Even this is recorded, but to be sincere, I rarely attend lectures. I only attend some important lectures because I was schooling, I was working at the same time, so I had to manage my time. So, say for example, I was teaching mathematics somewhere on the island, and I had to leave office. The traffic on the island was just crazy, so I have to leave school by around say 3 or 4, then get to the island maybe like 6, then teach for like 2 hours, then come back maybe like 10. So, and that has been happening for almost like 3 years straight. But even with that, when it comes to us writing exam and all, I just need to know what you have done, then probably just go through everything overnight and all, and and the result comes out and it was quite good. So I think that was one of the reasons why my friend gave me that name. That even though I don't come to lectures or as frequent as possible, but I still manage to scale through. Let me use that word. Yeah, so I would say that was the reason per se.
All right, that was mind blowing. I mean, you said scale through, and you scaled through with a first class in civil engineering. Okay,
Yeah, definitely.
okay. So yeah, to your session now, adaptability and resilience. So it's going to be more of a question and answer session. Okay, so let's get right in. So the first question I have here for you today, John, have you ever had an experience where you faced a significant setback or a failure in a project? How did you bounce back and what did you learn from that experience?
Uh, I'll probably not say significant. It might be a setback, but not significant because most times the way I schedule my time or my life, it's something I would expect, right? But as worst case scenario, you might plan for something and everything does not work as as you planned it to be. For example, before joining Bloomberg, I applied 3 times. It was my third time I got in, but that does not stop me from applying. So I think as I've said earlier, my background is in civil engineering, which means I don't have any computer science. But applying for software engineering, there are a couple of knowledge you have to be aware of that you have to know. So I had a large knowledge gap in software engineering, especially data structure and algorithm. So my first application was totally, I wouldn't say disaster, but it didn't go through. And I got feedback from the interviewers that, oh, I need to improve myself at this point. I went back, tried all what they said I should do. They did, applied again, but I was rejected again. All right. So, and my question was, what's happening? It's not that I don't know what to do, but, the way people perceive things is different, right? You might be good, you might be a genius in your field, but in some kind of field, there are some certain things you must know and how to go about it, right? The way I communicate things is we might be saying the same thing, but the way you communicate it might be different, right? So there are two parts that makes you, if you want to apply and get in, the behavioral part and the technical part. I was so much good in the technical part, but the behavioral was kind of a challenge. Like simple questions like, tell me about yourself, right? I could spend like 5 minutes telling you about myself, right? But that was no way. That was wrong. That was no way to go about it. But I didn't know, right? So I had to practice, meet a couple of friends and okay, what's actually going on here? So they gave me tips here and there. And with that, and that was a setback. That was actually, gotten in the first time or maybe the second time, right? I applied to so many companies and it was almost the same thing. So I just tried to think back and like, okay, what's actually going on, right? But the behavior part, which I usually encourage any software engineer, because most software engineers are good at the technical aspect, but the behavior part is always a challenge, right? Like you could talk about yourself for seeking. So there's a kind of a pattern which I learned, right, and which I documented for anyone who reach and say, oh, I want to apply for this position. How do I go about this? And I'll tell you, just do and this, and it's be fine. Yeah. So that was a setback, but feedback I got, helped me scale through those setbacks.
All right. So you've heard that in every situation, always try as much as possible to get feedbacks, and they are sure to be helpful. Okay, thank you very much, John. So let's have it. When faced with a high pressure situation or tight deadlines, how do you manage stress and maintain a positive mindset to ensure the quality of your work?
Oh, I think that has to do with time, right? So you have tight deadline. I'll make this generic as possible. Um, so while I was in school, I think I mentioned this earlier. I was studying civil engineering. I was working, and I was also trying to study computer science. So I was doing 3 things at the same time, and I had to make sure I meet a deadline with every like the 3 of them, right? So, the way I think I went about it was so it took a lot of my time. Like I can probably sleep like maybe 4 hours a day, and that was consistent. Not like maybe sleep 4 hours and next day. No, it was kind of consistent. So it took a lot of my time, right? And I don't think I won't say everyone would have that kind of power. Would I call it power or that kind of rigidity to do that? So I won't say it would be applicable for everyone. But the way I did mine was, spent a lot of my time. So I scheduled mine by so during the school hours, I just focus on school, right? Let me say morning, I sleep in the morning, right? I'm a night worker, so I kind of sleep in the morning. So if you probably call my cell in the morning, probably ringing or so most times everything I do is during the night, right? So my day-to-day schedule, which I mapped out, was I will code from around, let me say, 9 p.m. to something like 4 a.m. every day. Then from that time, I would go through some of what we have done in school, just go through some materials and all of that, like 2 hours, then I sleep till around say 8 or 9, and I only go to lectures if it's compulsory or we have a attendance to sign. Then I go to the class, sign attendance, low, because most times you know how school is, whatever they are teaching, you just have to put your head 1 or 2. Most times you still have to do the whole stress of reaching out to friends. You get practice and all of that. It's but some teachers are quite good in terms of explaining, teaching, right? So then from there, so 8 to around 4 coding, then maybe 4 to around 6 go through school studies to get myself acquainted with what you have done with previous day. Sometimes I skip it, then go to lectures, till around maybe 1 or 2 lectures, depending. But during that time of going to lectures, if I had the time, I would either be coding on my phone or I'm researching something I want to learn. For example, say I want to apply React now. Definitely, if I don't have my system, then I can just go through some materials, just to acquaint myself with what I want to practice later in the day, right, or in the night when I want to code. So I don't do everything at the spot. Every little time I have, I'm learning something. I'm learning something. So that was how I could go through that um, challenge or managing my time. Then from around 3 p.m., go to work, go and teach, then come back again. Then the cycle goes on and on. Yeah, so that's the way I just manage my time. It's time consuming, right? And sometimes I just say, do you know what? I no send. Then I'll probably just sleep and just keep resting, and then later again I'll continue again. So it's kind of, it's not static. So it's kind of dynamic. Sometimes I just go straight and dig out, and sometimes I'm just tired and I just rest and just chill with my friends and all of that. And yeah, it's difficult to put in people's perspective, but I've just said mine, the way I manage my time, learning coding, study civil engineering, and working. Yeah, I was doing that for almost like 3 4 years before I stopped working, and that was my final year. I was like, let me just do this final year to chill. And final year was a chilling year. Yeah, because I know that okay, I've gotten to the point whereby no matter what, I can't go down this point. So then I just focus everything on my software engineering and applying and doing that. So it was just planned on my hand. But not that I have a note where I put, okay, I have to do this. No, trust me, I never had a note. Everything was just on my head. Yeah, so that's how everything
Okay.
has gone.
Okay, well, that was a beautiful one. All right, so but still on time management and productivity. You said you do not make use of maybe any applications or anything then, but recently, have there been any maybe management and productivity apps that you use? And if there is any, how best do we make use of them? And if there isn't, what other time management techniques do you use?
Yeah, so most of my working or my work revolve around work hours. So we have some time management functions, as we call it here at Bloomberg, to manage your time and some notes. So it's an internal tool. So definitely no one have access to that. But if I were to attribute it to an external tool, people are um, conversant with, I probably say I don't use any external third party, to be honest. I don't want to lie. I would say I use my note, my Apple Note, to put in some things I want to do and I don't want to forget, right? And probably I use my alarm a lot, so I might probably have like 10 alarms set up, right? Maybe for the day, 9 a.m. do this, 10 a.m. do this. So most times I use my alarm, just my alarm. To be honest, that's for private use, but for work use, we have some internal tool I use. But there's sometimes my alarm will ring and I'm like, snooze. I'll snooze like 5 10 minutes. I'll do it next 10 minutes, right? So it's come and go. Most times I use internal tool for my work. For external tool or for private use, I just use my alarm or some notes, and I just schedule what I want to do at a particular point. So I don't have kind of strict. Oh, I need to use Calendly, or what is it called, to set this, or your email, right? But whatever knowledge I've learned, for example, if I'm working on a project and I stumble into some blocker and I've seen a solution, most times I keep links to that solution. So I have a kind of not notes, what would I call it? Sometimes I use email or Drive, Google Drive. So I have kind of a Google Doc whereby I put those links. I type what challenge I faced during that project, what bug came up, probably the error of the bug, and put the link to the solution, so that when I get to meet that again, I can just go to Google and search for that keyword instead of going back, to search, because sometimes you can spend an hour, 2 hours searching for solutions and thinking of a problem. So if I see a very unique problem that I solved, I keep track of how I solved that, right? Number one, to remind my future self of how I did that. And also, if someone reach out to me and has the same problem, then it's just easier to send them that link and say, okay, just go through this and let me know if you have any question. So that's the way I just go about my in track of
Okay.
things.
All
Yeah.
right. All right. So yeah, definitely everyone is unique. So I think everyone just needs to discover how best they can manage their time. But thank you very much for that. So now talking about attention span. On average, we know that humans have short attention span now. Okay, and we know that some projects require long hours. So what advice do you have for people that, let's say, they have short attention span? Okay, so as to avoid wasting their time.
Yeah. I think I've noticed over the years that the moment I wake up, I get up from sleep, my brain is kind of the highest mode it has ever been. So if I'm working, right, I just sleep. Like if I'm working and my brain is exhausted and I see that nothing is going in, I just sleep. I'll probably set a short time, maybe an hour. I'll set the alarm an hour and I'll sleep. That's little time, as little as it is. When you get up, your brain is refreshed. You will say that you would think farther than you have expected, right? And sometimes when you are working and you see that, oh, nothing is going again, just leave it, just drop it and go for a walk or do something. Use your phone, go on social media, attend to email, do any other thing else, right? And when you come back, you will say that you would be surprised how you could solve that, and you could probably be wondering why you couldn't solve that earlier. And sometimes, if it's kind of a very, very difficult situation, I spend more time on it. Even though I know I might not be able to get that solution at that point, I spend more time on it. Then I just leave it. Probably leave it for the next maybe 3 weeks, 1 month, 2 months, depends. So I think the brain has a way of finding solution by itself in quotes, right? So you spend time on looking for a solution, and you are getting nowhere, and you just leave that, and you come back maybe some couple of weeks or some months, and you see that you could solve that at an instant. One thing that might be liable for that is probably you have stumbled on other materials that expand the knowledge gap, right? Or when you have worked on other projects or some other parts, you get to know more things. So when you go back to that previous problem, you see that you can solve that, at an instant. So that's what I does do. So most times I just sleep. I'm working on a project, or on a project, and it proves difficult. I just sleep. Then when I get up, then everything just come back to normal. That's for me. I'm just saying, it's not that it works for everyone, but that's where I go about mine.
All right. All right. Thank you very much for that. Okay, so back to skills. Now, we know that the tech industry is a very fast paced one and ever changing. So, how do we cope with the fears that the skills we've spent so much time learning might no longer be relevant in a few years?
Yeah. Yeah, there are so many things you might learn and you might not use. But one thing that you always use is the foundation, which I usually am on. Like, you need to let your foundation be solid. No matter what you learn, if you know the foundation about a particular concept, it does not change. One plus one is two, regardless, right? So you are learning React now. And maybe, for example, if you, so I'm in my team, we are currently working on a real-time collaboration project, just like Google Doc, but for the newsroom. So there are so many technologies to make sure that happens. We currently use technologies like Lexico. Lexico is a rich text editor owned by Facebook, and also React and Next.js and a couple of other stuff, right? Now, to learn those technologies, if you don't know foundations like HTML, CSS, then that's a problem, right? If you are not, even if you want to learn React, if you don't know HTML and CSS, it's a problem. I'm just using that as an example. So the foundation is very, very important. If I want to pick a new language, I'm not actually scared of learning a new language or learning a new technology because I know the foundation. You know how while loop runs, you know how for loop runs, you know the knowledge of doing that. What you just need to learn is the syntax. If I want to work on maybe Scalar or Haskell, I'll just say how to write call function in Haskell. I know what I want to do, right? But it's just the syntax. It's a new technology, right? I'm not familiar with the programming language, but the concept is still the same. The foundation is still the same. It does not change, right? And if there are new things you learn, so I subscribe to this Medium, how will I call it, article whereby they would send you, emails on, new things that's happening in the technology world. So, and one of them was useful. So I think I was trying to, I'm sure if people in the web technology might understand it. So I was trying to run, so when you are developing an application, most people, npm install a particular package, to work with, right? So, and one question that came to my mind is, instead of running npm run a particular script, why can't I just run the script, literally like that without using npm run, right? And that Medium article, explain the reason because of that means you have to be familiar with knowledge like Bash, Bash scripting and all, right? If you're not familiar with that foundational knowledge, which is Bash, then you really understand the solution to what that person has explained. Like I said, the foundation is always the key. So always work on your foundation first without learning. People like, oh, let me learn this. If this is coming, let me learn. That's no need. Trust me. I only learn something based on what I'm working, right? If I'm not working on a particular technology or I'm not trying to build a particular solution, I don't disturb myself and try to learn what I should not learn. There's no point. So if I want to learn, say, for example, I want to build a product, a rich text editor for collaboration, I search for the technologies I need to learn. Oh, I need to learn, maybe I'm biased at some technology. I need to learn Lexico. I need to learn YGS, which powers the real-time collaboration. I need to learn Next or Node or how Postgres works or Ocus Pocus and some other technologies that I need to build this. I list out those technologies, right? And I'll state out, okay, what is the foundation? What are the things I need to know to make sure that this technology I can, give the best result. Then those foundation, I'll go and learn them. Then I'll not come back to those technologies. Else, you might start and see some solutions, see how some people do it online, and you get stuck with just a small bug whereby if you understand the foundation, it will be easier for you to get out of. So the foundation is very, very important. I would overstress this. Let me say it's very, very important. That foundation is very important. Else, you just get stuck. You just get stuck. Even in my work, I tell people like, oh, you don't need data structure and algorithm to build a product. You don't need this. Yes, you do. Okay. If you are familiar with Google Doc, right? You use some plugins. I call them plugins. It's called plugins, whereby you want to bold in a text or italicize the text or add tables or add images or add some other components. Now, to add those components, I can add a text in an image, right? So that means if I want to add a text in an image, it should stop me from doing that. and which means some plugin depends on another, and which means that that translates to you kind of sorting your plugins based on dependency, and you might want to use some knowledge like topological sort. That might be extreme, but in that kind of way, which boils down to the knowledge of data structure and algorithm. So it's very important. I don't want to be so technical, but the foundation to doing some other stuff is very, very important for you to learn. I can't overstress that. Yeah,
Yeah. All right. I saw you were getting kind of technical there, actually.
yeah,
All right, but there's no problem about that. So the foundation is very, very important. So you just be sure, get very well, get very good with the foundation, and technologies get developed from the foundation. So far you're good in the foundation, you should be able to cope with, the technology industry that's changing. All right. So thank you very much for that, John. So, with the stress of working a full time job, how do you adapt to the demands of the industry and find the time to learn new technologies and skills?
yeah. The work here is very flexible, and learning new things is not. You have resources and materials. If you are stuck in a particular technology, or you are doing work, you want to learn something or you want to apply something, Bloomberg provide a lot of facilities and resources and materials which are free for every employee to use, right? So you have this at the back of your hand, so you just look them up and use that, right? But in terms of coping with the stress, I won't say there's stress in quotes, right? Because everything that is needed for you to build, things or work with things is available. You just have to have time to learn that, and that is based on you and not anyone else, right? So I'll just say I just do it kind of a freestyle. So when I want to apply something at work, I just go through those resources, learn that. There are so many things I've learned that I don't know, that I've not heard of before I came to Bloomberg, right? So, but you know, the resources are always available, and there is a community whereby you are, you have, whereby they will tell you, oh, okay, these days you meet some people, and they will, give you the best resources, that you can use, or accurate one, because there are so many information out there, and it can be overloading, right? Like you can have information overload, right? But because of the standard here, there's a couple of places you need to go and get accustomed to how to use it, and it's just that, to be honest. Um, I won't say there's any stress per se, and stress at work is not stress because it's always limited in terms of the hours you work, and from that you can just do whatever. For example, after work, I'll probably just go out, chill, go to my family, hang out with some guys, can play with table tennis, and come back to work again and do the same thing. No stress. Like everything is available. And I think one thing that helped this, like I said, the foundation. If you don't have that foundation, then you have to put in more work, which might be kind of more stress on you, right? Which is fine. You can't know anything. Even if you learn the foundation, there are some things you still have to learn. Being a non-computer science, in terms of my background, I had to learn a lot of things, right? Learn a couple of technologies or how the internet works per se, right? Because I was having issue like, I've done this, why is this not working? And I'll look at it for hours. I don't understand this. Then I'll probably just reach out. Everyone here is very, very friendly. Oh, what's going on? Oh, I have this thing. Okay, you have to know this. So then I'll go learn it, and So you might categorize that as stress, but it's not stress per se. It's just you learning on the spot. I learn on the spot. Okay, I need to do this. I learn that at that spot. Then onto the next. Then learn that onto the next. So um, I'll just say that's how it goes.
All right, very beautiful one. Okay, so you mentioned hanging out with friends, taking break from work, hanging out with friends, going back to work and all of that. So in this era where there's a growing emphasis on work-life balance, how do you manage your time to ensure you allocate enough time for personal relationships and projects?
Yeah. Um, Work-life balance is great. It's exceedingly great, to be honest. Like, no one would say, "Oh, you have to do this. Oh, you have to do this between so time and so time." That's not how it works, right? Because everything is planned. Everything is. If you have worked in any, you know, company, we have this planning. So currently, the Scrum Master for my team. So we plan every work we want to do. So say, for example, the product have a new feature or a new product you want to do. They bring the product, we discuss what the product is, we plan the product, we estimate what the product is, what time frame we need to complete the product, and all of that, right? And after that, everyone just start, working on it, and we try to collaborate. Collaboration is very important within myself. Then after work hours, sometimes I do some personal learning as well, to be honest. But aside that, I have people that I just catch up with. Oh, what's good? Do you want to do this? Oh, okay, let's want to go to the gym, or do this. Oh, let's do this and that. So, like I said, work-life balance is good. To be honest, I'll be very honest with that. Yeah, it's good. So even if you want to stay late, your team leader will say, it's time to go. Are you not going home? They will remind you to go home. So it's not that you have to stay, or it's a different environment from where we are in Nigeria. It's a different environment, to be honest, right? Like, no one would criticize you or be vexed with you if you're not staying late or you have to, right? So it depends on, and the foundation is already here, right? If you're working in a startup, it might be a different thing entirely, because you guys have to do a lot. So I understand that. So it depends on where you are at the moment. So if you're working on a startup, more might be expected from you. If you're working in a environment where everything is already available, then you just have to develop yourself and bring more value, right? You might want to lead a project, or take on more tasks, but that does not exceed within the working span that you guys signed for, right? So everything is just on you. So you can take your time, go swimming, do a lot of other things. So the work-life balance is actually good. It's actually good because the communities and everything is available for you. So you learn faster and you learn deeper, right? Because you have a lot of people with years of experience, 10, 20, 30 years of experience. And those kind of people, when they tell you this is this, you would know that they have they have been stuck on so many problems, and they know that, oh, this is the best solution. Then from there you can find a way and say, okay, I think this is good. Yeah. So but in environments whereby everyone is still new, you might probably have to do more, and to do a bit of research, and that might take your time, and that might now affect your work-life balance, because you need to do more. Right. So that's how it is.
Okay, nice one. So talking about collaboration, and let me just ask a question. So if you're working on a collaborative project, priorities and project goals can quickly change due to issues, situations out of your control. So how can we manage such transitions, considering that at times it can render our past work useless?
Is this in terms of working in a company or just working on a project with people? Because they're two different things. I can
Okay,
probably talk on both.
yeah, you can start from company.
Okay, so working in a company, yes, this happens. It happens, right? You guys will have, so we have this concept of sprint, which is kind of a window where you work on some particular, part of a project. So let us say during the sprint, you guys are working on this project, you have the goal for that sprint, and say, okay, at the end of this sprint, you want to achieve A and B, right? And something of an higher priority comes into play. Your product owner says, oh, our customers are having issues with so and so, and we want to prioritize this. Right? Definitely, that has to be the priority, and everyone has to dump everything else and say, okay, we have to pen this and say until we complete this new issue before we go back to this. But you don't just throw that away. It's not possible for you to throw that away. You just pen that, work on the higher priority project before going back to the other one. So that's how it goes. That's for the company. So, and this has to do with collaboration, right? You're working in a team. Definitely, you don't want to do that. Oh, what's going on? Oh, want to do this? Okay, you segregate that into this part. Okay, I can handle this. You can handle this. You can handle this. And if they give you something, and you now find out that you can handle that part, then you can reach out. It's a very friendly environment. No one would say, no, 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 no. I'm working on my own. No, I can't help you. No, that's never happened. I've never seen that happen. And before you know, that rubs up on everyone as well. So we try as much as possible to, you know, help each other out if you're stuck, right? But in terms of private projects whereby you are collaborating with people that you probably only see over Google Meet or via email, then that might be a bit challenging because you're working on a project, something of our party comes up, you guys go there, everyone has to be in sync for you to go back to that previous project, which means everyone, you guys have to be accountable to yourself. If you're not accountable to yourself, I'm not sure there's any way you can go around that. So working outside the company, it has to be about accountability. If you are not accountable for a project or how to manage it, that's why it's good for someone who is centralized or in charge of making sure everyone are in sync, right? Some people will say, this person is not doing the work. The point of a team leader is to make sure everyone is in sync, right? They might not do a lot of coding, but they have all the technology that is required for you guys to do the work. They know everything, right? Even if not everything, but most of it, and they can find their way around things. So if you are working, if it is not in a company and it's somewhere outside, or maybe you're working on a project, you can assign someone who would manage you guys and say, okay, let's do this. So, okay, have you done this? What's the update on this? Else, human being, you can just be, might just be doing something freestyle. Might be doing one project and say, oh, but I'm tired, Jerry. Let me rest. Right? I've done that quite a while. I'm tired. I just need to rest. Let me just chill out. But while you're chilling out, it's affecting what you guys need to
Yeah.
do, right? So you can't just say you want to chill out, right? So if it's not affecting your mental health or what, and you have to communicate if this is actually affecting you, right? So you have to be accountable as well. Else, nobody will get anything done. So you just leave everything lying down there and say, okay, let's do it. Oh, there's a football match tomorrow, next tomorrow. I have to, a couple of things like that. So it's just management of time. So you have to have someone who you guys are accountable to. Now, be someone who is also working on the project, but you guys should just say, oh, we are doing this. Okay, let's do this, this, and this. What's the update on this? It's very important that you guys get updates. That's the only way you guys can scale through. Yeah,
Okay,
basically.
all right. So I'm definitely holding on to that. So try as much as possible to be accountable to someone. Okay, so thank you very much for that. All right. So as a junior in a workplace, okay, so I think you've answered this slightly. I think you've answered this slightly, but then you can expatiate. As a junior in a workplace, how can we communicate? How can we communicate that the tasks being delegated to us are too much for the time frame we were given? And have you ever been in any situation like that?
Yeah, I think I remember when I joined plumbing, I was assigned to a mentor, right? And they gave me this small task to do. But even with that small task, I opened the code base and it was huge. Ha! I was like, what have I gotten myself into? It was huge, and you try to navigate and you see a lot of things. Everywhere was busy, right? Like this was doing this, that was doing that, and you are just new to that kind of environment. So if you're in that kind of situation, then what you can do is try to go through whatever has been given to you. If you are stuck, then you just reach out and say, "Oh, I'm stuck at this point. Is there any way you can unblock me? Do you have any material? Because you definitely don't want them to give you the answers to it. They can tell you that, okay, this is what you have to do. But if they do that, then you're not learning anything, right? So they can just tell you, give you an hint that, okay, learn this or do this. Then from there you can unblock yourself. So if it happens, especially when you're just joining the company and then each code base, different technologies, internal technologies that you have not heard of. You have to learn. You have to be willing to learn on the spot. Very, very important, because that's happen. It's not, it should happen if you should join, even if you are working in a big place and you're working for like 5, 10 years, and you go to a new place entirely, it will still be the same, right? The only difference is that you'll have been used to some scenarios that you don't have to, you know, reach out as frequent as you would have if you are just joining as a junior. But as a junior, you have so many questions. And don't be afraid to ask questions. You know, people are always scared to ask questions. You know, when they give you a huge project and you are stuck and you feel that if you ask questions, you look like a dummy. If you don't ask questions, you still look like a dummy afterward. So just ask questions, right? The thing is that nobody will consider you a dummy, because it is expected that you will not be familiar with anything, right? It's expected. And your best bet is just to reach out. Oh, you have a blocker in this part. You have learned so and so. Always try to do some research as well, so that you know that okay, you have learned this and learned this, but you are still stuck. But if you just see a problem and you just say you don't want to do anything and just reach out, that might not speak well of you, right? So you just need to do a bit of research to make sure that at least you have done everything possible, but you can't see unblock yourself. Then you just reach out to your mentor or who you are assigned to, or someone that you know that is has experience in that area, and they will give you tips. Don't tell them to give you the solution. If you tell them to give you the whole solution, or the person is willing to give you the solution, and you take that, if something other comes up, it will still be the same thing, because you have to train yourself on how to solve problems. Else, it will just be the same thing. Yeah. So that's for a junior developer. Always reach out. Don't be afraid to ask questions. I asked a lot of questions. In fact, I think that I was like, he loved that because they knew I asked a lot. I was not shy to shy. Okay. I see you code this and I don't understand anything. Okay, how far now? What's going on here? This was not what I signed for. Because but so I asked a lot of questions. Like, okay, what's this then? Before you know it, I get accustomed to the environment. And if someone should ask me now that, oh, I can't do that, okay, go to this part, or go to this part. So, you would develop yourself over time. Yeah.
Okay, okay. Thank you very, very much for that. So, make sure you ask questions. Ask a lot of questions, but make sure you start the project first if you get stuck, and you can meet your mentors and ask for questions. Thank you very much, John, for that. So, taking you back to the beginning, kind of. Okay, a minute. So, if you have questions, we're going to be taking questions from the audience very soon. If you have questions, please kindly make use of the link in the chat box, slido.com, and input the code. So there you can post your questions and we'll take it from there. All right. So yeah, John, taking you back to kind of like the beginning again. When you spoke about signing or applying for Bloomberg about 3 times, you said you got feedbacks from the interviewers, isn't it?
Yeah,
Now
the
we know
interviews.
that feedbacks can make or break your spirits. Can you suggest ways of handling criticisms, both constructive and destructive?
Yeah. To start with, after applying to so many companies, it was frustrating. I won't lie. If I say it's not frustrating, all this one I'm saying is because I'm in already. But at that point, it was frustrating because you would learn so many things, right? You learn this, you learn A, you learn B, you apply it, you implement it, but they still tell you, you just get the email. Unfortunately, I don't like seeing that. That's what to start an email, when you are rejected. I've seen that a lot. So when I apply for something and I get an email, I don't go to the email. I go through my notification to see the starting. If I say unfortunately, I just swipe. I'm done. But the thing is, if you now stick with that and say, oh, because you are getting rejection, you don't want to apply, definitely sometimes it can affect, your moral. Like, you cannot take some time to chill, but don't let it be long, then you have to come back. So when I applied, I asked, so the first time I was rejected, the first time I was expected to be rejected because I know what I did in the interview, right? So I'll give you an example. Um, we are doing this technical part, and I was telling them, oh, I need to use Ashma, dictionary, just as well some concepts in computer science. And the interviewer asked me that, can you give me a summary of how this work internally? Hey, Guy, I know Sabiam. I knew at that point I don't know it, right? But as a guy now, you don't just want to say, please, I don't know it. I was just putting one or two together. But I knew that after that time, yeah, you know. So I knew that I was going to be there at that point again, but I still got feedback and like, okay, you need to um learn this and learn that. Even though I know, say at that point, well, I knew I was just yarning band because I was so stuck about the question. How do you expect me to know that? I don't. I've not even done computer science. I just know some things. And the guy just gave me that mind blowing question. Like, can you tell me, give me a brief explanation of how this thing works? And I said, okay, so you are the one that they send. Okay, no problem. You get. Um, but I was just using one or two, putting one or two together. And, I went through the interview, but I knew the outcome, to be honest. But when I got feedback, there was an amazing feedback, right? Telling me, giving me some suggestions to some links, to some materials, which I need to learn data structure and algorithm properly, which I did. Then I applied again. At that point, okay, I was a bit confident and I did the interview. Okay, I was like, okay, my technical has improved. And when I received email again, unfortunately, I said, no problem now. They gave me feedback, to be honest. Like, okay, I did so and so. Okay, I need to improve on this part. Okay, I had to reach out to them. What's actually going on? Then I just said, okay, let me just take a break from applying. Right. So that was when I took a break. Then I was just solving questions, and solving questions. And, I did that for like, I could go on List Code. So List Code is a platform whereby you can solve data structure and algorithm question. So I can solve like 10 in a day. I mean, constantly, I was just solving. Sometimes I go, if I made some medium hard questions, I'll take my time. So I was doing that. I learned the behavioral part. I was disturbing my friends. Hey, guy, you need to go over the call. People who are doing very good, I was reaching out to them. The behavior, because I was very bad at my behavior. So we had to, I would say this stuff over and over again, right? I would introduce myself almost like 10 times. I would record the voice notes, listen to myself and see if it's nonsense I've been saying. If I see that nonsense I've been saying, I would, do it again, just to make sure that I'm okay with what I want to present or how I want to present myself, right? When I know that my technical is already okay. So, and the last part where I got in, I said, you guys, yeah, I'm in for you today. So I was prepared with my smile and everything because I've learned a lot of things, right? So I was prepared and just came to the interview and I did the first stage. The next day, they reached out to me, oh, yeah, I've gone to the next stage. I said, nice one, nice one. Then the second stage again, the same thing happened, the third stage, the final stage, that's how I got in. So those feedback were very helpful and I reached out to a lot of people, right? If you are expecting you want to do this alone, yeah, you can do it alone, but it might take you time and you might not know the tricks in how this thing happens, right? So some people might not reach out and they'll still get in fine, but if you want to, get in as fast and also you want to understand how things work, reach out to people that you know that they have gotten to that part, or if you have a group of people that you guys are preparing together, you guys should practice, like prepare together. So that's how I just came through that point. So I use that to a lot of people, worked on myself, practice. I have a couple of friends that time I had to disturb them even at night. So I was like, guy, you have to help me this time. I don't want to see, unfortunately, my next application. So yeah, I think that was how I went about it. Yeah, basically.
All right, very beautiful one. You spoke about reaching out to your interviewers to ask for feedback. How did you go about that? Was it LinkedIn or right there on the call?
No, I definitely your interviewers will not give you feedback over the call. It's always you guys communicate via the HR, that's the human resource. So that's where you get your links to apply. So I just respond to the same email. If people will always reach out. They always reach out and say, oh, whether you have gone to the next level or you can't, right? And I reach out and okay, is there any reason? What was the setback I had? What would they recommend me to do? And they will communicate. It's still via the same way. I don't reach out to people on LinkedIn, right? The interviewer will tell you, oh, yeah, no, that's not how it's done, right? But via the same email you applied, and you guys will communicate via that same email. Yeah. So that's
Okay.
the link. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much once again, John. So now we'll take questions from the audience. Okay. So let's see. Do we have any question? Uh, okay. So John, how did you manage to function well after only sleeping 2 to 4 hours without it affecting your health? Did you use any support like coffee or medications?
Me. First of all, I don't take medicine. I'm not sure I can remember the last time I took paracetamol. What is it called? I don't know. Maybe it's how I'm built. But I remember one time my friend, I'm sure you guys will probably know him, Maiwa. We learned that came up with he says, okay, let's do this and do this. I was coding for almost like 18 hours, and he came back to where I was, and I was like, yeah, stand up, stand up. The way was talking. Told me to stand up, stand up. So I don't know. I don't take medications, either paracetamol or take coffee. I'm not sure. Have I taken coffee before? Maybe tea. Maybe once or twice. Like it's just. But the only thing is that when I'm working, right? If I code for a couple of hours and I'm exhausted, I sleep. So you just mean if I'm coding, I just set my alarm. Okay, next 1 hour, I want to wake up and I sleep. Then I sleep. I wake up again. I do the same thing, right? So that's what I do. So by the time I get those hours, then you can sometimes I sleep for a long time, right? That's just on an average. Not that I'll sleep for 12 hours, yeah, but on an average, that's how much I sleep. But I don't take whatever drug. I'll say medication. Drug is another word. So I don't take medications to keep me awake. I don't do that. I don't take paracetamol or stuff. I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm used to it. I think if you start that way, but not everyone can do that because some people have health issues and it's not advisable for them to do that. But if you want to code for, say, you have given yourself a timeline of 3 to 4 hours, ensure that you do that without distractions. Because I've noticed sometimes when I'm working and I'm not fully invested in what I'm doing, like I'm coding and I just see some message from maybe TikTok or something like that. Let me just quickly look at this. And before you know it, you spend 1 hour, 2 hours. And before you know it, you've not do anything. Right. So you can just put, I don't know how you do, maybe silence your phone or do a couple of things and make sure that you are just doing that stuff, right? I have to be invested. If I'm invested in something, I can take a long hours. And when I'm done, then I'll now go and eat. I'll probably not eat during that time. I'll now go and eat, sleep, and do other things as well. I don't take coffee, to be honest, or whatever people take. I don't know why. And I've not been affected. Maybe I'm sick or no. I don't know. Maybe it's that's how my body is. But probably if I've been sick, and I probably have adjusted. But since I've not, I'm taking advantage of that and keep on with it. Yeah. So that's just it.
All right, all right. Thank you very much. So I think that's just about the only question that we have. All right, thank you very much once again, John. John the genius. Yeah, I learned you play the acoustic guitar. You play it very well. Do you still play?
Um, I don't play frequently. Only when maybe I see someone playing or I go and visit a friend and I see, then I just freestyle again. But I don't. I want to get one, but the one I want to get is quite expensive. So I'm just chilling till I can afford it. Yeah, but I do play the guitar. I was in MFM when I was in Unilag, so I play for the youth church. So yeah, but that's just a side interest or side
Okay.
hobby that I love to do. Yeah.
All right, all right. Thank you very much, John. It's a pleasure to have you back here at ACX as a speaker. So thank you very much once again.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me. Lovely um, community, by the way. It's been, you guys have improved a lot. I've seen the flyers and everything out there. You guys, both the chairman and everyone else on the community. I really appreciate you guys and also reaching out to me. And for everyone that is on the call, I really, really, really appreciate you guys on the call and listening to my band. Yeah. If you guys have any questions or you need anything personal, you can always reach out to me. I'm always available. But it might take a time for me to respond because of so many things that's happening. But I would always respond. Everyone knows that. Yeah. But aside that, I'm happy that you guys had me here and also listening and being patient up until this time. Thank you so much, and thank you, Malik, for the for having me and hosting, and Ifian as well. I'm not sure if she's on the call, but thank you guys as well. And wait again, I think I have to acknowledge them. Let me see. Is it Tolu? Oh, yeah, Tolu Wanimi, right? Yeah, for people that we communicated via email. I'm not sure I've made them in person, but if you're on the call, thank you so much. Yeah, and I hope to come again soon. However, do you have anyone who is in the software engineering or applying for software engineering on the call? Let me see. Just a bit. Yeah, if you are, you are. So I probably don't want to give this information out now, but just because you're on the call and it's being recorded. Yeah. So if you are applying, please just reach out to me. Guys, apart from that, thank you so much, guys.
All right, thank you very much,
Yeah.
John.
All right. Yes.
So, guys, that's all we can take for today. It's been a wonderful session, two sessions actually, the first and the second. So, thank you very much, everyone, for joining the call. And I really hope you all enjoyed today's sessions. All right, so, a minute, please. All right, so we're meant to take a quiz, but due to the time constraints right now, we can't take any quiz again. All right, so thank you very much, everyone, for joining the call. Join us again next week, Saturday, same time, 10 to 12, for another session. All right, so thank you very, very much.
Sorry, just to add on to what John said, Sixus and I believe it was the real Dambaba that raised up their hand when he mentioned the application for software stuff. Ibrahim, is your hand also raised for that? All right, okay,
Yes, yes.
okay. So if you guys are on the WhatsApp group chat, please, if you're on the WhatsApp group chat, just tag me. I will get back to you. We will reach out to him for whatever information he had for you guys, and I will get back to you three on that. Ibrahim, Dero Dambaba, and Sixus. All right, thank you.
All right, so thank you very much, everyone, and do have a wonderful, great day ahead. Bye.